Hey guys, Courtney Epps here with OTB Tax, and I am so excited today to have my friend Michael here. He is an author, he is a speaker, he's also a realtor or realtor, however you want to say it, depends on what part of the country you're from. And so I'm just going to let him share a little bit about who he is and what he's doing in the world today.
Well, thanks, Courtney, for having me on. It's great to see you, and it's great to be watching all the amazing things that you're doing since I've met you. But I appreciate the opportunity. I live here in South Florida. Real estate has been wonderful for me over the past decade. I also took some time off to write a book and join the speaking circuit. So I'm out there and available for people to talk about. I share the story of my life and how I got from where I was, how I stayed alive by not taking my own life, and how I moved forward into creating, endless opportunities for myself. I think your mic is muted, Court.
Got it. Sorry. I was just tagging you, making sure everybody could see the live. So, tell me, how did you why did you decide to start becoming a business owner? I think that's a huge deal. And what pushed you into the speaking career? Like, was it something you always wanted to do, or was it to grow your business? So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, creating my own business really started 20 years ago when I opened a restaurant in Connecticut, and I had been working for some friends. I had worked for my family as a young man. And I always remember my dad, two pieces of advice he always gave was, keep your eye on the horizon for the oncoming storm. He was a Navy man. And the other thing he always shared was create your own economy. And so never really worry about what's going on around you, focus on what you're trying to accomplish. So, when Deborah and I, my wife, and we've been together 27 years, when we decided that we wanted to start a family, I really thought to myself, okay, maybe it's time to get into business for myself. And that's when we opened the restaurant. And then subsequently, almost a decade later, sold that, moved here to South Florida, and started another business in real estate. And it wasn't until I met you that I really fully realized the tax benefits of owning your own business in a home-based business.
Yes. So let's talk about that for a second. So I remember me and Michael actually met. We were both speaking for Les Brown last January at UCLA. I didn't know him. He did not know me. And the name of your book, tell them what the name of your book is.
So the name of my book is From Lemons to Lemonade, and the subtitle is Creating a Sweet Life Out of Bitter Circumstances.
I love it. And so I liked him immediately. He came up to me and he said, I really need your help and to help me with taxes. And so, what we first realized, and I tell people all the time, you've got to have an LLC, and that LLC needs to be treated as an S corporation for tax purposes. Had you ever heard that before, Michael?
I had not heard that. And the accountant that I had been working with for a number of years kept telling me, well, your income threshold really isn't there yet. There's really not a benefit. You're doing fine just the way you are. And when I met you, how this happened was I spoke to you, you went up on stage, and I called my wife, and I let her she was watching back in Florida on the live stream. And I said, what do you think of her? And she said, she's great. I said, that's good, because she's our new accountant. Because what I learned was that the way we had been operating had cost us tens of thousands of dollars in tax payments.
Yes. And it's all about, typically it's about structure. That's one of the things. So, in Michael's situation, he did not know that he needed to be an LLC treated as an S corporation. And if you make more than $12,000 a year in net income, you need to be treated as an S corporation because you're going to overpay in taxes. And the second step is missing expenses. So, that's one of the things, it costs a lot of money sometimes, depending on what type of business that you're getting in. And, I think me and you both around the exact same time, you'd spent some money with Les Brown to grow your speaking career. I spent about the same amount of money, actually a little bit more, with Tony Robbins to grow my business. And, and I told you, I'm like, that's 100% tax deductible. We can write that off. That's a massive savings, because anytime that you're in the world of, especially speaking, you get to write off things like your clothes. So your clothes from stage are a tax deduction. Anything that helps you grow your business while you're trying to speak. So it could be clothes, it could be hair, it could be nails, and sometimes like jewelry. I'm not saying go buy, $1 million piece of jewelry and try to write that off. What I'm saying is if you use certain things for stage, you can actually write those off. And, when we just had that conversation back and forth, the travel that's involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then also the book. So, he spent some money in these books and to get all of that started. And so all of that became a tax deduction. So tell me a little bit about what your book is about and also what you speak about.
Well, so the first thing I want to go back to is there won't be any tax deductions for hair care. So we're not going to worry about that.
Exactly.
But the book really starts out. It starts out at a time in my life where my father, who was my everything, as a young guy, your parents are usually right there for you. And my dad was my hero, and he suffered a stroke. And from the moment he suffered the stroke, for the next 5 years was nothing but hospitals and turmoil, because at the same time, in between him recovering slightly and us starting to find the new normal, my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer. And then after that diagnosis, my father fell ill again and broke a hip and needed open heart surgery. And then as he was getting better again, the cancer came back, and I lost my mom just before I started my sophomore year of high school. So it was a really difficult time. I was the youngest of six, 4 older brothers and older sister, and they were much older than me. And it was difficult. I felt alone, isolated. I was angry for my mother leaving. There were certain conversations that never happened. The goodbye conversation never happened. And so I found myself as a teenager on 3 separate occasions thinking that I just didn't want to go on. And I came close. I actually sat with the gun in my hand on multiple occasions. And, the only thing I can say that saved me was I didn't really want to die. It's just that I didn't want to live the life I was living. And that's when I realized that if it was to be, it was up to me. And so I could change and create any life that I wanted. So I started to see negative circumstances, like people would say negative circumstances, as opportunities for growth. And my life really changed, and I was able to go on and thankfully not end my life. I eventually met my wife, and we have 2 beautiful 21-year-old twin boys, and I live in South Florida, which to me is paradise. So everything I went through, people ask me all the time, would you change it? And the idea is, it's all I know. It turned me into the person I am today. So for that, I have to be thankful.
I love it. And that's the thing I've been preaching actually for the last 2 years, is that we have to help people find a purpose that's bigger than their problem. And when you do that, sometimes one of the things that Tony Robbins has taught me, and taught me very well, is that, things bad will happen in your life. And, but life is happening, for you. It's not happening to you. And, I wake up every single morning, and before I get out of bed, before I open my eyes, I wake up and I close my eyes back again, and I say, you know what? What am I thankful for today? What am I grateful for today?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a valuable understanding. And I'll pick 3 things. And, the great thing is your brain can't have 3 things that it thinks about at the same time. Like, it can only be grateful. It can't be sad. It can't be mad. It can't be angry. And, that's one of the things I'm very passionate about, is what you just said. Like, people get lost in this whole world, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get out of it. And they feel like the only way out is to, commit suicide. And thank God you didn't, Michael. I mean, like, we would never have seen each other.
Right.
You would not be my client, and those 21-year-old twin boys, like, it's crazy. Say that again. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then your wife, what in the world would she do? I mean,
well, listen, You're absolutely right. And, like as Zig Ziglar used to say, you can get everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And, I really believe that. And another mentor besides Les Brown, I mean, spending time with Les and learning from him and understanding life from his point of view and him helping me move forward has been tremendous. Another mentor is Floyd Wickman, who's a Hall of Fame speaker. And, I tell this to young people all the time. I said, Floyd woke up at a moment in his life and he realized, he looked in the mirror and he said, you know what, from this moment forward, everything that happens to me, good or bad, happens in my best interest. That's not an easy thing to accept, because what you have to realize is bad things are going to happen. And I talk about that in the book, that life happens not to us, but for us, so that we can create out of those, bitter circumstances, those lemons that life hands us. And, to be able to say, no matter what happens, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to move forward. It's an opportunity to share how you got through it with somebody else, because, no matter what you're going through in life, there is always somebody that's willing to trade your problems for their problems, for sure.
Yes. Yes. And that's one, 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you have been following me, and maybe you have, but we went 2 weeks ago to Salt Lake City, Utah. And, I had this, I feel like God has led me to do something very, very powerful, and that is to combine for-profits with nonprofits so that we can truly make an even bigger, massive change, because for-profits are so focused on money, rightfully so. That's why we get into business, is to make money and to provide a legacy for our family. And then you've got nonprofits who are trying to change the world. And the sad part is they have to focus on money, because unless they have money, they can't help people. Yeah. And so, I got this bright idea 2 years ago. It wasn't even a bright idea. It was something that I felt like I had to do. And we started providing whole food, plant-based nutrition to children in need. For every dollar that came into our accounting practice, we provided a serving of food. Mm-hmm. And that changed everything for us. It literally took our business from $15,000 a month to $270,000 a month this year. And can't even fathom, like, and I'm not telling you that number to brag. What I'm saying is like, it was not me. It was because we were focused on something other than the money. We were focused on changing lives and saving children. And then we added on Operation Underground Railroad back February 29th. We decided to do that at Tony's party. And, people don't realize what's going on in the world. Like, truly, every 30 seconds, a child is going into sex trafficking. There are 6 million people right now that are literally that are being trafficked throughout the entire world. And you're exactly right. Like, we don't want their life. I mean, and then every 6 seconds, a child is actually dying from malnutrition. Mm-hmm. And, we don't even realize, because that's not in our view. Like, we're not seeing that on TV every single day. Right. And, that's one thing I think truly what's going on in America right now. We can truly bridge this gap, that we can bring people together for a purpose that is so much bigger than what's really happening, which is so much bigger than these problems that we have. And then what does that do? Our focus stops being on us and how we're not getting what we want, or how we're not being able to go out, or we're not being able to travel right now like we'd like to. And we start focusing on helping others, which in turn completely transforms everything inside you. And then you just want to help more people. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah, when you help somebody, the feeling that you receive in return is amazing. And joy is one of the only things that you can give away, but yet you increase your own at the same time. So it's not something you think, well, if I give it away, I don't have it anymore. No, it's amazing. If you give it away, your own joy grows in return. So, looking at folks on the street, or, whatever's, we all want to help someone, and we want someone that wants to help themselves. And, that's why we want to look for people. For me as a speaker, I go into a room and I think to myself, gosh, I just hope that there's one person here today that might need to hear what I have to say and might find some usefulness in it. Because it's all about reaching. If you can reach just one person, change one person's life. For me, those years that I just didn't want to live anymore, there were several people in my life that at any given moment, thank God they were there, because they gave me a purpose when I didn't have one. And that's huge. You have to have a purpose. And like you said, once you found a purpose, look how the business took off.
Yes, it's crazy. And every day I love freeing up money for people. That's what I'm here for. Like, that's my superpower. But I've been able to combine that with such amazing life-changing events by helping and giving back to others. It's one thing to free up $250,000 a week for people. That in itself probably keeps people from committing suicide. If you, sadly enough, in this world, a lot of times things happen because of money. And with the economy the way that it is, and the coronavirus and the pandemic, I mean, it's just adding to it. And so, if you're on here and listening in, what I love to do is just find money for people. That is really what I love. And then I want to be able to help you so that you can have more, so that you can live more. Obviously, I want to help you understand how to give more, and that be a tax deduction. But in turn, I want to nourish more children. I want to free more children. So that's really my mission in life. And, as far as what Michael is doing, he's sharing how to get there. See, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a tax strategist. All I can do is share with you what my experiences have been. And it's so amazing to be able to sit in a room or sit in a conversation in this little broadcasting room that we're in together, and just have this conversation with you, Michael, because, we can impact so many lives. And sometimes I forget, just by speaking and sharing your story and your background, how truly inspirational that is for other people that may be going through the same situation.
Yeah, it is a tremendous feeling. I'll never forget in LA when I rushed off the stage, because one of the, people said, how, you must love, being on stage. I said, I do. But as soon as I'm done delivering and trying to help, I have my own anxieties, and I want to get off there as fast as possible. But the idea is, when you're in that moment in life, when you don't know which way to go, you don't know which way to turn, you always have to realize somebody's been there. There's always a blueprint for success, as Tony talks about all the time in his talks, and Les talks about in his talks. Find somebody that's done what you've tried to do and duplicate it. Well, I always tell my boys, if you're ever, whether they're at college or they're somewhere else in the world, if you're ever stuck, if you don't know the answer to the question you're facing, go to the closest senior center. Go to a place where someone has life experience, someone who's already raised children and is trying and knows what you're going through, and they got through it. Because maturity is time. I always say time is a great equalizer, and maturity is a great teacher. Life is a great teacher. But unfortunately, there's a whole generation of people now growing up without, say, grandparents that went through the Great Depression, and they don't realize how bad it could be in America. So to be grateful for what you have, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but you have to understand there's a process to get it. And I just believe that the senior population has a lot of wisdom to dole out if you just ask for it.
I definitely agree. And it's funny how some people just look at you and say, oh, well, you're an instant success. No, I've been working on this for 19 years.
Yeah.
How'd you get here? I worked really, really hard, and I ran my mouth until I was exhausted. And I think some days, I do. Like I went home yesterday and I'm like, I am so tired of talking. But, if you want to change the world, you got to go out and make it happen. No matter what. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It doesn't matter if you have any money. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You just have to make it. And that's one, makes you a great business owner, but two, like, it allows you to get through anything in life. And, that's one thing I think that I've done a really good job of, is just my focus. I have a focus, and some things are going to come along and it's going to try to knock me off track, but I have a focus. Sure. I know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm sure you are exactly that same way.
Yeah. For me, if you were to go back, if I was to pull out my high school yearbook right now, first you'd see me with hair. But secondly, in my yearbook, everybody got a chance to write a little personal blurb about themselves. And in mine, right where it said future goals, I wrote to be rich, comma, to be very rich. And back then, when I was an 18-year-old kid, I equated that with money, right? Money, a lot of money equals being rich. And having gone through what I've gone through in life and been where I've been and been at total rock bottom where I've had my bank accounts frozen by the IRS because of somebody else in my family that things were happening, and been flat broke with not understanding where I was going to turn next, to having the life that I have now, I realized I might be the richest person I know, because I've all my life, all I ever really wanted to be was happy. And I've created a life that I just love. And, I truly achieved that goal of becoming rich. And believe me, I'm not the most expensive house on the block, and my bank account's not the largest, but inside, I have more than I ever thought I would have.
I love it. Yeah, and that you're exactly right. It's, we equate being rich to being happy, and there's a lot of rich people that have a lot of money in their bank account that are not happy. And at the end of the day, it's all about, family, it's about friends, it's about obviously having a business, but and how much you're giving back. But what I see as rich, it's not about the money, it's what the money can actually provide. And so many people they're like, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. But, one thing that Tony taught me is like, why do you want to be rich? What are you trying to do with it? Do you want to give more? Do you want to have more? Like, what is it that you're truly trying to get to? And it's never really about money. It's, sometimes it's about love. Sometimes it's about significance. Sometimes it's about, just that you want to be able to give back more. But it's never truly about the money. But yeah, I agree with you. Somebody asked me earlier this week, Courtney, why do you keep building and growing? It's like, I've got to get to a point where I hit 50,000 children a day, which I've got to make $50,000 a day in order to provide nourishment for 50,000 children a day. So, I have a plan of what I want to do as far as mission work, and I can't do that unless I'm making money. And so, that's and you just shared with me, and we're not going to get into detail on the passion project, but it's exciting. I mean, we could. I just don't want to do that unless you're working on some patents and stuff. But I mean, it's just so super exciting to be able to have other people that are really focused right now on giving back to the world instead of taking from the world.
Well, yeah, and this project, sat on a shelf, and every once in a while I would dust it off and talk about it. But I had other things. Real estate is my main focus on a daily basis. My clients and customers mean everything to me, and I'll get up early and go home late for them, and because I like to be of service. I like to be useful. And I try to handle as much as I can for my customers, because that makes me feel good. And, one thing about money people don't understand. For me, I learned at a very early age. My parents worked really hard and did really well. We lived a great life. But what I learned is money, the only thing money is good for me, is time. Money can buy you time. Money can buy you a better doctor, which gives you more time on the planet. Money can buy you dinner out so that you don't have to spend time in the kitchen. You can spend time around the table. Money can buy you a vacation with your family, which gives you time with them. So to me, money equals time. And, you can't buy time, but you can create more opportunities with the time that you have.
I love it. Yes, I love it. And that's where it comes in, writing a book, creating a membership, all of these things are residual income. I learned when I wanted to become a platinum partner, it was like, well, how do I come up with the money to do that? Well, maybe I need to write a book, and I wrote a book 3 weeks later. So that would generate extra income, and created a membership that also created extra income, because at the end of the day, those things don't continue to occupy my time. And so, I love, like Michael, it's so great just because people are starting to get ideas and thinking about other ways that hey, how can I generate money? Hey, how can I be more, how can I give more in the world? And, I thank you so much for being on here, because what I'm trying to share with everyone, and obviously the motivation is great. I completely forgot, like, having the conversation. I mean, I do your tax return, so I see what you do, but it's like, man, I forgot. Like, Michael's a speaker, and he's a motivational speaker at that, and we should get him on, and we should help other people, and just remembering the story now. It's just so great to be a part of such amazing people in my life, and being able to get them on here and every single day, and just sharing what's on their heart, because this is not scripted. It's like, okay, well, we're going to talk about some taxes along the way, but at the end of the day, it's just about running our mouth and talking about what can help you guys and our audience.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to reach, the people that you're reaching on a regular basis. I'll never forget when I first met Les, one of the things he said to me, he said, the world needs your voice. The world needs to hear you, because and this is Les Brown. I mean, he's one of the world's great motivational speakers. And he looked at me and he said, because you'll reach people that I'll never be able to reach. And I thought that was silly, because I thought to myself, who's going to hear me versus not being able to hear Les Brown? But sometimes it's where someone comes from, or just, how they process the information that's coming to them, or something sticks no matter what, some point in your life where you can parallel to the person that's talking to you and realize, wow, they really do understand what I'm going through.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. And I mean, I lost everything I owned as well a couple times, one due to a business deal, and one due to some mold exposure that we had in a house. And, I mean, and you get through it. It's like, people ask me, and that was just about 2.5 years ago. I think the biggest thing that I really lost, I lost for 6.5 months. I lost my memory, and I could not remember people. Like, I forgot human beings. And that was probably one of the scariest times of my entire life. And, being able to be a part of, Tony Robbins and Les Brown, and, how I met Les Brown, it's crazy, completely different story than you, is I saved one of his friends $57,000 in taxes. Mm-hmm. And he got me on the phone with him, and I started telling Les, he's like, what do you do? And I said, well, I teach people how to free up money. And I realized that, the average household income is going into debt $60,000 a year, and they're making 60 grand a year, and they're paying 14,000 in taxes, and their take home is $46,000. And then the cost of living in America is $53,000. And what's left over? Nothing. They're going in debt $7,000 a year. And he literally stopped me and said, you have to share this from stage. You have to get on my Facebook Live. And then I did the Facebook Live, and then he put me on stage at UCLA. He's like, you have to come next week. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll be there, And, but, that was just a crazy fluke. Like, it happened. And, I've gone on this mission to share with the world how to free up money, because I truly think we can, if we are helping more people have more, then guess what? There's less suicides. There's less divorces. There's less broken families. People can actually stay at home and spend more time with their family. And I'm all about quality time as well. And I agree. Like, that's what money does for me, is it buys time, and it helps people. Mm-hmm. And anything I can do to help someone, it just makes me happy. And I'm sure it sounds like exactly the same thing for you. So, any last words that you want to share with the audience? And I appreciate you being my client. I mean, just because you are our client, we get to feed an extra couple thousand. We get to feed an extra couple thousand servings of food every single year. We get to provide safe drinking water for every tax return that you do with us. We provide safe drinking water for 10 people for the next 15 years. So that's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's truly amazing. And, I just want to thank you for the opportunity today. It's great to see you. It's great to continue to watch your climb. And, that's one thing I might leave with people, is that, it's a ladder, right? Life is a ladder. You don't want to get stuck on any one rung. You don't want to stay at the bottom, as Les likes to say, it's the bottom that's overcrowded. And that's the idea. There's a young guy just recently, yesterday, quit his job on Twitter. He worked for Amazon. He left his truck full of packages. He says, I'm tired of working, 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. Well, that's fine. But just because you're working 5 days a week, 10 hours a day, we've all been there. It's not that you need to stay there. You always have to be looking out for the opportunities. There's management opportunities, there's other opportunities, and you want to let the people ahead of you know that, listen, I'm here now, but I don't want to stay here. I want to keep climbing.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I so appreciate you. Where can people find your book? And tell them one more time the name of the book.
So the name of the book is From Lemons to Lemonade, and it's creating a sweet life out of bitter circumstances. Look, imagine I just happen to have a copy right here.
I love
it. So they can go on Amazon.com and order the book off of Amazon. Please, if you enjoy it, review it. If you don't enjoy it, review it. I love to hear the feedback from people who, find some little tidbit out of it to take with it. But like I said, the book is available on Amazon.com. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in South Florida or, anywhere, and you need real estate advice, you can reach me through there as well, because I'm happy to talk to anybody I can and help anybody I can anywhere I can.
Awesome, Michael. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day, everyone. And I appreciate you for being on here.
Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.
Bye.